Hello, everybody. I'm live. Not everybody knows that yet, but welcome back to the virtual studio party, which has been on hiatus for some weeks, almost 2 months, I think. And I'm back with Kal Honey, my wingman.
Hey.
And he'll be helping out with the chat. And just to recap for anyone who's new to this or stumbling onto this event, I'm an artist, Cal's an artist, and I started the virtual studio party. Cal started his virtual collage jam way back in March, April, when lockdown happened. And we ran it halfway through the summer and took a break. And we're back. And it's a time for conversation, for creativity. I make art. Many people who join us are making art or doodling or resting from making art or planning their next project. And if you have a Google account, you can chat with us in the online chat and ask questions and let us say hi, please, and let us know where you're joining us from. And this week, I'm planning to do some jelly printing, which I haven't done for a little while because I've been on break. And prior to that, I think I was maybe teaching something different. So anyway, I'm going to do some jelly printing. I bought some stuff this summer that I haven't even tried, that I bought specifically with jelly printing in mind. I thought it'd be fun to try it out right here live on YouTube. Yeah, the thrills and spills just go on and on. Looks like Ruth has said hello. Hi, Ruth.
Yes, I was going to say that, but I was waiting for your intro to finish.
Oh, I should actually have you closer at the start. But, I'm a little rusty, which I also noticed when I was teaching this week, just getting used to doing it again.
Hey, Jane. Welcome aboard. Jane has joined us.
Hi, Jane. Good to see you. So glad you could join us.
Yay.
And
Rebecca is
here with Rebecca
Kirk.
And
Yay.
Kirk. Oh, awesome. So, Kirk, I'm sorry I'm not going to be stitching today. But it could happen. I promise you it could happen. It could happen soon. So, yeah. And how's everybody doing? By the way, in the world of YouTube, the numbers game can get pretty ferocious. And, I follow a whole bunch of accounts that they make their living off YouTube. And so they have huge numbers of subscribers and, from 100,000 anywhere. 10,000 seems incredible to me, but some have over 1 million. But I just want to thank everybody who has subscribed to my channel, my little channel, because I have 111 subscribers today, and I thought that's pretty neat.
Woohoo!
So thank you, anybody who subscribed. No pressure, no worries if you can't or don't want to subscribe. I know some of you watch from the television set. You can't exactly subscribe from there, but it's lovely. Our whole world is ruled by algorithms right now, which are essentially programs that check for cues and change behaviors based on it. So subscriber numbers make anything that gets posted to a channel, if they're higher, anything posted gets distributed as suggestions to a wider audience. So there you go. That's what the numbers are about.
Kirk says he has you covered for stitching.
Excellent.
And Rebecca says that they're good and that she's working on homework. And I've asked her what
cool. Yeah. Cool.
She's got
I think it'll be fun homework.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I should also mention something else, actually, before I dig in, hands on. Now, where did I put those sheets of paper? This is always a question, right?
Don't look at me.
Some of you may already know about this, but many of you may not. I have a blog on my website, and I gave it a rest for a while just because of life plus COVID. And but I revived it in recent weeks, and my most recent blog post was about, I think it's my most recent, cheap and cheerful art supplies, sort of one in a continuing sporadic series, and it was stencils, which is very relevant to the jelly plate printing that I'm going to be doing, and so I when I did the video for that blog post, one of the things I did was make reference prints on gel plate, although of course the stencils can also just be used for direct painting, and I just thought it was worth mentioning. So what I do is I use black paint, and I take a positive and a reverse print, and I did these on premium bond paper. And yeah, there's an interesting one. And for the ornithologists among you, I can't speak to how accurately they're depicting the silhouettes of birds, but if their source material was good, and you're a real fan of birds, you might know what they are. That's kind of fun. I like nice, versatile designs like that, because you can do so much with them. Anyway, you might want to pay my website a visit if that's a topic that interests you. So let's see now.
Lillian has joined us from
Winnipeg. Great. Hi, Lillian.
And I asked her if it was her first one of these, and she said it's her second.
Right. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
And she says, glad to be joining us in this time of solitude.
Renewed solitude too, right? Yeah. Like Ontario's numbers are just awful, which was predictable based on what was going on, but it doesn't change the fact that they're awful. How are they in Manitoba, Lillian? Let me. Boy, that's refreshing.
What homework she was doing, and she said she's working on yours today because mine needs to be done outside.
Great.
Yes, it does. And Ruth Oppenheim has joined us. Hi, Ruth.
Oh, great. Hi, Ruth.
So we have two Ruths, which is great.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's right.
We're just rolling.
So we're not ruthless.
No, we are. We have a.
Sorry, guys.
We're Ruth Rich.
Yeah, we're Ruth Rich. That's good. So I thought it'd be fun to show you some of the things that I bought to play with. I always get excited. I get pretty excited in stores. That's part of the problem. Cal won't take me shopping for anything practical because he knows that I'll slow him way down, right? Anyway, I bought some paper doilies, which it isn't rocket science, but I thought it'd be fun to play with because it's the first time I've had paper doilies to try on the plate. This is the second time I've bought some fabric doilies. Now, these are not, high quality, beautiful ones like my grandmother had, but they're affordable. And I have some old crocheted pieces by my great-grandmother and my grandmother. So I'll use the cheap and cheerful ones in order to develop ideas, and then maybe select a very few of the real ones I have to work on, having done my research using the cheap and cheerful ones.
So Lillian replies of Winnipeg, yes, we're in orange zone. People behaving like there was no COVID.
I noticed that this summer, we both noticed it this summer. Like we would go to parks with our masks on, and we were the only ones with the mask, or we were out bicycling on trails where you have to pass close by other people. And of course, you're breathing harder because you're cycling. So in fact, there's more aerosol being transmitted and left in the air. And we saw one other cyclist once on one of our trips who was wearing a mask. It was insane. It's like, it's great that it's summer, and we were so thrilled to be out in the summertime, but to behave as though there was no COVID is just, well, we're unfortunately bearing the fruits, I think.
Mm-hmm. And Ruth Oppenheim says she's doing some homework and raring to go.
Excellent. So I love this thing. This is a placemat. And I guess it could make a nice placemat, although you spill stuff on it and it just falls on your table. So I think it might be better with a backer placemat. I don't know. But for pure decorative purposes, I think it's great. And I might get more. I've got germs of ideas, so I'll let them germinate and see if I need to go back and get more and make something out of these and alter them and so on. But I'll hold it up close so you can see. Isn't that lovely? Beautiful texture. So I think that this should be pretty great on the gel plate. So that's what I'm going to try. And to do all that, I'm going to use my big plate, which I don't get out that often because it's so much easier to just quickly print with the little plate. But I love the big plate, don't get me wrong. Also, of course, it uses bigger paper depending on how you do it. So, but I will break this out today.
Wow,
I think
the 12 by 12?
The 12 by 12.
All right. We're going big.
Yeah.
Kicking off the season with style.
The big tools are coming out.
Ruth Austin commented that Trump tested positive Wednesday morning, but didn't announce until Friday.
Yeah. In fact, he wanted to infect a few more people while he was at it, wandering around without a mask. I noticed there was a comment from the presidential debate, the moderator for it, the Chris, whatever his name was. I did not watch it. I know myself better than that. Do that. Saying that they used the honor system for the COVID testing of everybody who was at the debate.
Wow.
The honor system, like they haven't learned anything during the term of this president. Yeah. Wow. Again, totally predictable and preventable, right? You just set a system in place to make sure that people are tested well in advance.
Yeah. Ruth says, who uses the honor system with Trump?
Honor, like, since when, right?
That isn't in his lexicon.
By all accounts, it's never been a part of his character ever. So why would they think it was starting as of a political debate? Anyway, you know what? I'm going to stop talking about Trump because we're in our happy art zone.
Exactly.
And this is the antidote to all that mayhem and madness out there. And we all need to recharge from it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put this away.
That's good. I was just about to ask, hey, so why have you got that in there?
Were you?
I was.
Well, yesterday during class, I printed into it because I had a lack of suitable printing paper nearby. So that tells you a lot about my being a bit rusty. So I'm going to get out some deli paper to print onto, because the thing about this plate is that it needs big paper. So
Oh, I can feel that through the floor.
Yeah. Okay, let's break this open.
While Kim breaks that open, folks, why don't you tell us in the chat what you're working on today? Are you just chilling out, or you got something?
Ruth, my internet connection is unstable.
Make sure the thing is seated there.
It's because I moved computer, so it's okay. Is that going to work? Okay. Yes, it's working now. Okay.
Just make sure that you're.
It says I'm still live.
Okay.
So sorry about that, everybody. Just as soon as I move the computer, the Ethernet cable that gives me a stable internet connection decides it's not connected.
And Val Ashton has joined us.
Oh, great. Hi, Val.
Hi, Kim and Cal. Glad to be back. Not working on anything. Relaxing from cleaning the house.
Well, well deserved. Yes. I wish I could say I deserved that because our house, oh man, our poor house. Things have been kind of crazy the last few weeks in my family because both of my parents have had medical emergencies and just, a heart attack and major surgery and cancer. And so it's just been a ride and a continuing ride. Everybody is doing better, but ongoing stuff, So it's been a time.
Lillian says she took out her art journal from her trip to Italy last November, decided to listen to some Italian CDs from the library and watch YouTube train travel videos. Oh, that sounds like fun.
Lillian, what a great set combination of things to do.
YouTube train travel videos. Okay, well, we now have something else that we're going to be checking out.
I have actually watched a few YouTube train travel videos. Yeah, I love train travel. I grew up, my parents split up when I was 7. I'm just trying to think back. Anyway, I ended up doing a lot of train travel back and forth, unaccompanied, like
Ottawa and
Toronto. And I think about it now, given how people are with their children. And I just get on of course, someone took me to the train station and my dad would pick me up. But I made all kinds of friends on the train, grown-up friends. I remember in the early days, there'd be hippies on the train and some of them would be sitting in the aisles and they'd get out a guitar and sing along. And it was pretty wild and it was fun. It was a great, really great experience, actually.
Lillian says she took 7 trains last fall. I presume when you were in Italy. So much fun.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's just a great way to travel. And I really enjoyed when I went to the Netherlands a few years ago. I traveled to the southern part of the Netherlands to check out an art residency program, actually. Beautiful medieval town. It was just gorgeous. And then took the train back up to Amsterdam. And it was a nice long, relatively long, not long by Canadian standards, train trip. And it allowed me to see a lot more of the Dutch countryside than I would have seen otherwise because I was just in cities. So, yeah, it's a great way to see things.
And Lillian says, what do you see from a plane?
Yeah,
exactly. And Ricky has joined us from Philadelphia. Welcome.
Hi, Ricky.
Her first time on the, I think
on my channel.
Yeah.
So, well, welcome to my channel, Ricky. I'm so glad you joined us today.
It's basically the same kind of a setup. It's just the view's prettier.
I disagree.
That's your prerogative, but I know I'm right.
Yeah, so for anyone who's joining us late, I'm going to be doing some jelly printing. And I play around. So I'm less structured than Cal, and because I need it to be less structured. And so that's why you don't have I don't have a group for this. I do for my classes, but I don't for this. That's cutting off my head just a little too much.
Why don't you get it set?
There we go. That's better. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't mind cutting off some of my head, but
Just a little off the top.
Yeah, so I do different things. Sometimes I go on a jag for a while during several sessions of the virtual studio party. In the past, I did altered books for several sessions. I've done jelly printing, scratch board drawing, stencil cutting, so quite a variety of things, and expect more of the same. I did decide yesterday that I was going to jelly today. So I did mention it somewhere in one of my social media posts.
Wow, that's like planning ahead.
I know, that's crazy organization for me.
Planning what you're going to do the day before?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the spontaneity in that, Kim?
Oh, I don't know what went wrong. So first thing I'm going to do is put on some barrier cream.
The world famous.
Yeah, so that I can wash that paint off. And I think I better take this watch off since I don't really want to get paint on its lovely strap or face. And Ricky, did you bring something that you're going to work on? For example, are you going to continue with Kal's collage theme from last week or something else? Did Jane mention what she's up to?
No. Are you collaging, Jane?
I mean, I can imagine you get like three collages done in the time that I'm yakking away here. Yeah. Okay.
Did anyone do anything sort of COVID safe fun during the summer? We tried to go camping, but Kim's health was dodgy, so we decided not to. And
yeah, we got as far as North Bay, but I had a bad flare-up, so we ended up coming home after a couple of nights up there in a motel. Not what we'd hoped for. However,
but we ended up doing some day trips, which were quite fun. Just to we live at the sort of northwest corner of the Greater Toronto area, and so it's not too far to get out into the countryside. And there's a rail trail that's about a 20-minute drive north of us. So.
And that's part of the Trans-Canada Trail. So it's very nice. Well looked after.
So Ricky says, yes, she's continuing with collage, but she's curious to learn what you have to teach since she knows nothing.
Right.
I disagree, Ricky. I've seen the collages, but and Val says she spent most of the summer at their cottage and a visit to Quebec. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's great.
Nice. So this is a small jelly plate, Ricky, just in case you're unfamiliar with it as an object, and it's made of a polymer, silicone-based polymer infused with mineral oil. So it's a permanent jelly plate, and it's squishy just a little bit, but nicely. And I'm kind of addicted to how it is as a tactile object. So jelly printing is just or gel plate printing. The fish, you create monotypes using it, and I find it a quick and responsive way of printing, and it's something to turn to when I want a creative refresher or just some fun. But I also make serious work with it, so I don't want to say it's just a toy and you can't make real work with it. I absolutely do. But
I've only done it a little bit with Kim, and I find it really, really addictive because it's quick and responsive, and it's so you try something and you see the results, and that gives you an idea for what to move on to next, etc.
It's you build momentum. It's naturally generative. So I'm just, as you can see, tearing some paper. to make masks for my printing. Now, hopefully my paint won't dry too quickly. I wasn't really thinking this through because it's my first print, so I'm
Well, you're just getting the engine
just
started,
getting
right?
warmed up.
Don't judge it.
So hopefully it's still wet enough that I can get a good print. The plate's actually a little bigger than the paper. The paper is supposedly 12 by 12 as well, but somehow its 12 by 12 is smaller than the plate's 12 by 12. So there you go.
Lillian says of her summer, she did a day trip to Bird Hill Provincial Park, all of 24 kilometers away.
But still, a provincial park,
Yeah.
that they're typically lovely places and make you feel like you're farther away. So good for you.
And did not meet any bears.
Good.
Yeah.
I had a wonderful experience at Riding Mountain. Is that National Park?
I think it's a national one.
When I was on a big solo trip. Was that the one when I did North America? Or was it when I was... I think it was my big trip around North America. Tent camping. And I pulled into Riding Mountain, and there was virtually nobody camping. Huge campsite, campground. Virtually nobody camping in it. And I was there by myself. And so, kind of weird, but fine. Better than having loads of people and lots of music playing and so on. And at night, I woke up because coyotes, I think, were howling like crazy. Like they were having a serious, I don't know how many there would have been, but it sounded like there were a couple of dozen. And there was no sleeping through that. And it's really special and moving and also scary, I have to say, because it's just so powerful and wild. There's my first print. I'm going to layer onto this. I'll let it dry first. I'll do some multi-impression printing.
So Rebecca says they did the Van Gogh by car exhibit, which I haven't heard of, but I just Googled it, and it's downtown, and it's a drive-through immersive experience. What was it like, Rebecca? Was it great? It sounds like it would be.
I think I love the idea of an immersive experience. And I think they had it in Paris as a walkthrough experience before COVID, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and it says you can walk through it on your car ticket too.
Oh, okay.
If you would rather.
Right.
And
excuse me.
Val says they have coyotes there. Listen to them almost every night.
Yeah, so they're part of your regular auditory routine there. Yeah, exactly. Loons, coyotes, whatever, right? Yeah.
All right. So you've got a few technical questions. So Lillian wondered if that was bond paper. And Ricky asked, would you mind telling me what paint you use and also what you painted on? I like what I see so far.
So this is just a large version of that jelly plate I held up before, Ricky. It's a 12 by 12 inch jelly plate. It's more pristine because I don't pull it out very often because it's easier to print from the smaller sheets, smaller plates, pardon me. So that's what that is. And the paint I'm using is Liquitex Basics, which is not a professional grade paint, but it is a good student grade paint. And it's what's called medium viscosity. So it's not fluid like fluid, but it's not stiff like high viscosity. It will hold some of its height. Not that you want any thickness really to the paint here. So so there you go. It doesn't use very much paint either. You apply small amounts of paint because it's printmaking, so it's really just about getting coverage, not about getting thickness.
And you were printing on deli paper, correct?
Yes, deli, short for delicatessen, unwaxed deli paper. So you can wrap sandwiches in this, or you can print onto it.
And it's quite thin and transparent, right?
You can see that it's translucent there, right?
Translucent.
And it's because it's meant to wrap sandwiches in. It has even though it's thin, it has a decent wet strength. A higher quality version of this would be various forms of Japanese and Chinese paper. They're obviously pricier, but they also have very special qualities that the deli paper does not have. Okay. So I'm going to think about what I'm going to do for my next layer. I think I might go with a yellow layer. Next.
So Rebecca replies of the Van Gogh drive-through. It was really cool. It was supposed to be walkthrough, but COVID. You park and the project animated Van Gogh pieces on the walls 360 degrees around the cars. And that
cool.
Sounds amazing.
I am connected up to, in various ways, a lot of different contemporary artists. And I know some of them, as soon as something like that happens, they poo-poo it, right?
Because it's...
Yeah, and they're the same people who say, oh, they're so over Nuit Blanche and all of this stuff. It's all about spectacle and stuff. And I understand, on one level, I understand why they're saying that. But on another level, I also think, you know what? Human beings love spectacle and immersive, exciting sensory experiences. And, what on earth is wrong with that? It doesn't have to be your cup of tea, and it doesn't have to be what you would do as an artist. But I think I would love to design an immersive experience. I think that would be tremendous. And so I'd love to experience it. So we'll have to, now that Cal's looked it up, we'll have to look into seeing if we can get to it.
Something that occurs to me is that they obviously chose Van Gogh because it's so popular.
He's so popular.
And a safe bet. I love Van Gogh's work. What would be great is if that was the main draw, but they had like a contemporary local artist as an opening act, right? So
think of anyone, Cal?
No, I can't think of anyone, Kim.
Just anyone out there ends up watching this is from the immersive exhibitions department. Yeah.
Rebecca says they had a musician score it.
Nice.
And
that's part of the immersion, right? Like that there is that musical aspect as well. That's good.
No, that's great. It needs a soundtrack. So
yeah.
And Philippa Haidu has joined us. Hello.
Oh, hi, Philippa.
So here in the other room watching us on the TV.
Ah,
excellent. And Jane replies, working on It's an Illusion collage, which I didn't get to last session, but glad Kim is doing gel print. Need a refresher on that.
Right.
Not sure you're getting my chats. I'm not sure. We just got those two, Jane, but I don't have any from you for a long time since very early on.
I accidentally dropped this paper on, so it's got a little pre-print, so that's going to alter what happens. Sorry, I just needed to mention that because all the excitement, it's all the drama.
Yeah, so I don't know what was going on. Okay, yeah, good. Great, Jane. I'm glad we got that one just fine. So
yeah,
you're back on track. Yay.
Yeah. if we missed any, it could be a glitch in the internet or maybe not hitting return or something.
Yeah, sometimes things get caught in the ether.
Yeah.
What are you working on, Philippa? Are you? But you were watching on the television. But are you doing anything, or
are you chilling out? Oh, I'm glad I did yellow.
Oh. It's so much like printmaking because that makes me like
much like printmaking.
wrong word, like commercial printing, because that makes me think of like yellow ink and magenta ink.
Yeah. There now. See, so we get a mixture of the first color, the second color, and the combined layered up.
Aren't you glad you did that?
I am feeling quite pleased with that. So I just want to point out, this is why I love jelly printing. Like, that was not rocket science, right?
It was super simple, but really rewarding, right?
But this just makes me so pleased. I can't tell you. It just makes me ludicrously pleased. I was going to do more, but you know what? I'm going to start again. I'm going to leave this one exactly as it is because I really like what's happening in it. And I'm just going to peel these up and start again. Doing the same thing, but now thinking in terms of adding a third layer and a third color.
Ricky says that's beautiful. And you can use it as a base for collage.
Yes, you can.
Well,
or not a base. It's thin paper, so you can use it for collage. Yeah,
you can also sturdier as a base, but this when you get glue or medium on this, it will become a little more transparent. Right?
Yeah, the paper will be more transparent if you. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I have a chronic cough, so don't worry, everybody. But today it's acting up. So. Maybe. I just want to point out for you collage artists, the beautiful papers you end up with. So these are the mask strips. And because I'm laying it down on painted surfaces and laying it down again and again and again, you end up with these really rich effects on the masks themselves. Actually, this is quite a nice one. Right. So none of this has to go to waste, in theory. Okay. So where did I put the color? There we are.
So Ruth asked, so how did you stick the masking on? And I've explained in the chat that just because Kim laid down a bunch of paint on the plate.
So watch this. I'm I'm dabbing the paint on. Just putting basically Hershey Kiss size, slightly large Hershey Kisses of paint. Enough to get a thin but complete layer. Sometimes when I'm using this plate, I'll bring out my wider brayer. Brayer is what this roller is called for anyone who's not familiar with printmaking.
Yeah,
I've got a 6.
Lillian just asked.
Oh, good. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah. So it's a rubber roller, and used for printmaking. Use it in all kinds of printmaking. But I have a 6-inch brayer, and so that will get me coverage more quickly. Okay.
So we got some wet paint there.
I've got some wet paint. Now I'm going to lay down my masks. Now it sticks there because there's wet paint there, right?
And Ruth asks if the paper for masking is bond paper. It can be any number of things, right?
Bond paper is far from the best choice because if I use something that's a little more if I were to use a plastic or a Tyvek or something like that, non-absorbent, it would allow me to lift these pieces up and then print from the residue. After printing from this, the way you've seen me do. But I want to be able to tear to get a nice irregular edge. So I need a paper that's, once there's enough paint on these masks, then I'll be able to get that effect I referred to. And so you'll get a chance to see what I mean by that.
Yeah, so you can use any number of things as masks with slightly different
Seriously,
results.
as long as it's something that is flat and won't harm the surface of the gel plate. Those are the two. Thin paper like this is very easy to burnish, and you can see through it, so you can tell what's been burnished and what hasn't been. So it's excellent to learn from, but it's not available everywhere. It's not like the art supply stores sell it. I get mine from Amazon.
Rebecca says she's using maple leaves. That's great. Yeah.
Excellent.
And you've done some exquisite leaf.
I love
prints,
printing
right?
from natural materials, definitely. In fact, I brought some of my dead leaf collection. I'll tell you about that. Poor Kal. Well, that's all I gotta say. He's such a tolerant man. So there's my start. You see my strips are still here. Now, do they have enough? Yeah, no, they still don't have enough paint to be non-absorbent to leave residue underneath. So they're picking up the color, which is why you don't see the orange and yellow anymore. But not to fear, it's still rich looking. But my next layer will be yellow again. So I can try my 3-color idea. Let's move this out of the way.
Anti every time.
It's also a fun thing. You don't have to clean off your plate after every print. The residue that's on it can actually add a nice quality to your subsequent prints. It depends on what you're doing. Some processes you want a very clean result, in which case you need to clean your plate after every impression. Oh, that's tempting just looking at that, but I've got a plan. I want to stick to it. I'm not going to do my ADD thing. Not yet, anyway.
Not this time, no. Such resolve.
Yeah. Iron will.
That's it.
Iron.
I swear I'm getting more ADD as I get older. I had to do something on YouTube, like check something on my channel, and so I went to YouTube, and like 20 minutes later, like I wasn't supposed to look at videos. I was supposed to do some work.
That sounds more like me. Yeah. I'm rubbing off on him, I guess, after all these years.
So Ricky says, so jelly plates come in different sizes. The one you showed at first was quite small.
Yeah, it was 6 by 6 inches, and they come even smaller. Yeah, so commonly you can get a 4 by 6, a 5 by 7, 6 by 6, 8 by 10.
And you have a circular one, do you?
I have an 8-inch circle, I think. And there are little harlequin shaped ones that are about this big, and little circles. And so they're mini plates, and you can use them to make designs, because you can treat them, you apply paint in various ways and even in multiple layers on the plate, as long as it stays wet. And you can use it like a stamp and print down on the paper, as opposed to what I'm doing, which is applying the paper
onto the.
Yeah. All right, let's see what happens there. Oh, come on, Kim, get with the program. There we go. You don't have to use Liquitex Basics paint, although that is one art store type affordable option. You can use craft paints too that come in little bottles that you can get at Walmart or craft stores. Ricky, I know you've got all more options than we do down there in the States. Like we do not have Hobby Lobby here, for example. Okay. So this will be like a variation on that first 2-layer print I made. Oh, it is pretty. Let's see. So now I'll set that aside to dry. I set up. Oh, this would be a great time for my big hole punch here. Would you mind?
The 3-inch
It's in,
one?
yeah, it's in the wooden moppy chest there. And I'll get some paper out for it. Paper crafting is one of my not so secret loves. So I don't own very many, but I own a few paper punches.
Is this the one you're looking for?
Yeah, the massive one. I actually did an art project for the Magic Gumball Machine of Fate. So it had a vintage Beaver brand gumball machine that dated from, I don't know, the 50s or the 60s. And we make artist multiples for it, and they go inside these plastic spheres that you can twist open.
Ricky says it's all an illusion.
And anyway, I had a 2-inch paper punch. This is a 3-inch, I think. I had a 2-inch paper punch, and my project involved punching through 2 layers glued together of thick paper, and eventually the punch just wouldn't do it anymore. Cal was practically having to hammer the punch to get it to work, just to squeeze out the last dozen. Because the first batch I made sold out pretty quickly, or yeah, so I needed to refresh.
It's taken me a while, but I think what Ricky's referring to is the illusion of having all kinds of choice in the U.S.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. I was thinking of Cal's collage theme when you said that. Ties in nicely, right?
I think that's her idea.
Yeah.
We're just a little slow, Ricky. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm very slow. This is my first full week back at teaching. So with everything happening on all the days. And yeah, I'm definitely slow on the uptake today.
She says yes, that is what she meant.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get there in the end, Ricky.
So I'm making these circles as masks. And I'm just using some heavier weight paper that I have. It's not super heavy. It's not stiff, right? But it's almost, it's not as thick as Bristol board. It's more like a cover stock, I guess. You wouldn't want your business card in this. It's too floppy. I gotta say, the feeling of the punching is very satisfying. I like a good tactile experience. So. All right, let's see where this is at. I might need a few more.
If you get around to them.
Well, you know, I do have some circles in my binder. I could have, I might need to supplement with them. I have a binder where I keep all of my stencils and masks that I make that are durable or that I really like. And I need to look around and see where, there it is.
Wow, that was pretty fast, wasn't it?
Yeah, see? How organized is that? I tell you.
It's all an illusion.
You would know. Yeah. Ooh. Well, now I'm seeing some things. I'm thinking, geez, should I actually use those instead of these circles? Maybe I should.
You found more fun pastures?
Yeah, I think so. I made these sort of pebbly masks quite some time ago out of various materials, so at different times. Whoops. And they're less regular than circles, so I think that they might go nicely with the torn things. So let's see what I can make of that.
Hush has fallen over the chat. I think people are busy making things.
That's great.
That's great.
Cal's drawing. Oh, maybe he'll be nice and share it with us at the end.
I don't want to horn in on your show there.
I don't see how that's horning in. I think that's just what you're doing while this is going on. I like that. Okay. Yeah, that's better. This one I'm going to do differently because I'm laying down quite a few pieces. I could have applied paint like I did the last time, but I've already started doing it this way, so I'm just going to continue. Okay,
That's looking pretty funky.
let's go for that.
Yeah.
Let's go for that.
So here's a question for me.
Yes.
So you've arranged these in a way that you like.
Yeah.
But you haven't put any paint down, so there's nothing actually holding them in place.
There's nothing holding them in place. I've made my life difficult. But I do that sometimes. So, yeah, I'm just going to have to kind of nurse along these masks.
Does the plate have any, because it's flexible, and does it have any tack to it at all?
Can you, a tiny bit. Can you pass me the 2-inch brayer and the second from the bottom? Yeah, because I'm going to have to sort of go around these more delicately. There are a couple of things I'm going to do. I'm going to use Payne's Gray. That's golden fluid acrylic with super high quality paint. And I'm going to use something called open acrylic medium, which just, you could use retarder. It's to slow down the drying speed of the paint.
Rebecca has an unrelated question for Kim.
I'm all about the unrelated questions, Rebecca. Please fire away.
It suits her ADD, Rebecca. You're...
Well, I think Rebecca and I are kindred spirits in in things like that.
Exploring.
Yeah, just wide-ranging brains that are always wandering around. What was I doing the other day? And I thought of Kirk. It was something video I was doing. And I just thought, man, would this be enough reality for Kirk? Tongue in cheek.
Rebecca asks, do you have a recommendation for a place or printing process or material to print a digital artwork on canvas that I want to work into later with paint?
Yes, I do. You want giclée printing. Giclée is the term for art quality inkjet printing. And there's special canvas that companies like Epson make for the art quality printers, and they're 8 or 9 color printers. The in the right hands, they print extraordinarily well. I use a company in Oakville called artprinting.ca is their website, artprinting.ca. They're right on Lakeshore at the foot of Kerr Street, and he, the owner, it's a Korean name, is he's very meticulous, gets very high quality results, obviously looks after his equipment really well, and here's the thing, he's more affordable than the high-end giclée places. Now that may not be a convenient location for you, and I know for a number of other people here, but just in case it is, I can heartily recommend him. I have sent other artists to him, and they've been exceptionally happy. Cole Swanson, who's an artist I love and admire, I suggested it to him, and he had 74 or 75 prints made of photography in his case for a big show he had at the Hamilton Artists Inc. And they looked beautiful, and he was so pleased, because that's a lot of prints to have made, and a lot of places they charge you so much, there's no way even a moderately successful artist could afford to mount a show like that, unless they had a very special funding source.
Yeah, exactly.
Good grant or sponsors or patron or something. Anyway, so shop around for giclée printers, and ask to see samples. And yes, you can print onto that. What you could do is have
Can you paint onto it after?
Yeah, you can paint onto it. What I would suggest is you have maybe a test print made, so you have a swatch to experiment onto, and you can try painting directly onto it. You can try applying a matte medium to it first, or even a gloss medium to it first, and then painting onto it. Let the medium dry. There is such a thing as transparent clear gesso, which you probably know about, but in fact, it will frost over the visuals very much. So you don't want to do that.
And Rebecca says, great, thanks. And she says, Giclée, correct? Yes, that is the correct spelling.
Yes. Anybody else who's wondering about the spelling, you can just check in the chat there. Some people use the term giclée synonymously with as a pejorative for,
it's just a reproduction.
It's just a reproduction.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah.
Giclée.
Yeah, and that just shows again, it's as so often happens when people are dismissive about things, that they're not understanding or not valuing what is possible. The technology, the Giclée technology, is what professional photographers use. It's what digital artists use. It's what digital printmakers use. It's not there's nothing actually wrong with it, but it's become associated with people who are maybe doing not very good paintings, but making big print runs of their not so good paintings and selling them for cheap as Giclées. But that is such a narrow way of looking at an excellent printing technology. I'm a digital printmaker and digital artist, as well as I've really made my life difficult. I just want to mention it. And I failed to use the 2-inch brayer that Kal got out for me. I mean, this is what I deal with in my brain, right?
Well, you're walking and chewing gum.
Yeah, I am walking and chewing gum by talking and
so cut yourself
and working.
Slack.
But it's always entertaining to me.
I just failed to pass along earlier a little comment from Lillian.
Oh yeah.
When we were talking about being ADD, she said, or we can call it lateral thinking, and it's true.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it absolutely leads to something great. So
yeah,
there's
the upside and the downside, right?
Yeah.
So, I would say I'm an above average creative thinker, but it comes at a price. Too funny. I'm very thankful that I had an art teacher in high school who I love to this day, who was a tremendous artist. We were very blessed to have him as our teacher, given what a good artist he was. And he was so creative, and his brain resembled mine. And so I had a role model. So I could see, okay, so we both suffered from the downsides, but I could also see the upside because of him. And I'm very grateful for that. So
he's still like that. Like how
he is. He's
John?
Well into his 80s,
and he's like, you show him something, and he gets all excited.
Ideas.
He's just like, oh, you could do this, and you could do that. And what about this? And it's like, oh, I love you, Don.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because when he's mentally and creatively, he's a young man. His body's starting. I mean, his body was still energetic at age 80. For sure, but it has been slowed down. So here's my print. So I find that quite interesting. I did not print it on the thing that I intended to print it on. That's the key. the missing ingredient. So I'm going to take these off and I'm going to sort of put them aside in a way that may help me put them back sort of the way I had them. And I'm going to try that again.
Ricky says, where did you get that round hole puncher? I see witches, dogs, cats, leaves, but not round.
At Michael's.
Yeah, and we saw.
Oh, actually, I got that one at Dessert, but it's the same make as at Michael's. And I know Michael's has a 2.5 inch and smaller circles, so you can get them.
And I think we've seen squares as well.
Yes, I have. I have some squares. I think I have some 3/4 inch and some 1 inch squares. I love squares. I love squares and I love circles. It's the designer in me.
Lillian says, like people with very high IQs and very low common sense. Yes, they're out there. Like you.
Yeah. All right. Where did I put my paint? Honestly. I might have to use a different blue then. Okay.
Try farther over there with that one. And I'm gonna...
That's the thing. I know. Oh, there it is. It's fallen over and it's dripping. Perfect. All right. Well, since I'm doing this again anyway, why don't I make it a gradient just to mix things up a little bit?
Lillian says, no, I did not mean Kim. No, we didn't think you meant
No,
Kim.
don't worry. I wasn't taking it what? Yeah. So the school I went to that had that wonderful, wonderful art teacher was a school for gifted students, a high school for gifted students. So we did, at that time in Ontario, we had a grade 13. You graduated after grade 13 unless you were not in the academic stream. And so, and we started at grade 7, but we did it in 1 year less than the public schools did. And at an enriched content. I mean, this was ancient days, right? Decades and decades ago. Before they had all these specialized programs that they do now in high schools.
Yeah.
They had a limited number, like the art program you went to, that I considered going to at Northern Secondary. But anyway, the school was full of astonishing minds. Like I remember in grade 7 being in history class, listening to some of the students, and we had a lot of discussion in classes. This was not a passive listen to the teacher, fall asleep, ask if it's on the exam. It was the opposite of that. And so the discussions were incredible. And but I couldn't believe at age 13 how well read on politics and history and everything, depending on the particular student's areas of specialty or interest, right? And the mathematicians and the scientists, and like, it's incredible how young people can be incredibly, obviously smart, like their brains work well, but the amount of knowledge they can have absorbed already, it's incredible. So what was I getting? Oh, so on the lines of very smart but low on common sense, definitely you could see you could see some of that there. It's like Einstein was brilliant at physics and the mathematics for physics, but he actually had trouble making change, apparently. The part of his brain that dealt with that had trouble with that. And I'm very much the absent-minded professor. But yeah, And some of them went on to pursue ideas that I feel sad that they decided to pursue, given all their talent.
But their lives.
Yeah, exactly. Um, different understanding of the world. I might view it as a lack of common sense in some cases, but not everybody would. Other people would say, you chose to be an artist. That defies common sense. And, in our culture, they wouldn't be wrong in some senses. But on the other hand, trying to be something that you're not is actually not common sense. So I can just make out the little ghosts of where these were, which is good because that'll save me having to think, which today is a good thing. Now where'd the big one go? Oh, there it is.
Rebecca says, maybe it's time to fix our culture then. I agree.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't agree more. And what better time than right now when everything's changing anyway?
Lillian says that she understands in certain cultures, artists are advisors to kings.
Yeah.
That's not one I'm familiar with, but that's amazing.
You think about what most of our politicians right now would think of that. It's mind-boggling. Yeah. I remember when I was in my 20s and my brain at that point in my life worked so well. It was before a lot of things happened that impeded my brain. And I started a graphic design firm, and I did things that were very demanding. But I remember thinking at the time, I read that one of the breweries in Canada had hired a guy, I think he was a philosophy graduate, and to just think. He was an idea guy. So his job was to think, sometimes wander around the company, ideas would come to him, whatever. And he would write stuff and so on. And I thought that would be the perfect job for me. Because that idea generation is my superpower.
It is indeed.
If I have a superpower, that's it.
You do, and that's it.
I'm finally printing it onto the correct pre-printed piece. Here's hoping it looks interesting.
This is a book we need to read. So Lillian says that idea about artists' advice is from a book she read, The Highly Sensitive Person by Dr. Elaine Aron.
Oh, I'm familiar with that book. Yes, I'd forgotten that. Yeah. There's a book I wish had existed back when I was in my 20s too. It would have helped me a lot. Okay, peeling it carefully off. Now let's see what we've got. Of course, my fingers are covered in paint, but.
Woohoo! Oh, that's pretty yummy. I love how active the darks are. The darks have all these.
The darks are nice and rich because of the underlying activity.
Yeah.
And so that's quite a different look. So there's that. There's the plain one, which could have some neat stuff added to it. And then here's the one. So that's neat, eh?
Very.
Oh, it's fun.
And Annie just joined us.
Oh, good. I was hoping Annie would be here today.
He says, "Hi, just lost myself in my garden doing homework, LOL." Noble work, Annie.
That's nice.
Yes.
That's lovely. Also, being fall, that's a limited time opportunity,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So it's really good that you're getting out in it.
There's a reason I did garden art first in the term rather than second. So
yeah, look at that piece of paper there. Isn't that fun?
Annie said of your two that you were holding up, wow, vibrant.
Yeah.
And Ricky says, that made me gasp in awe.
Aw.
And Lillian says, instead of telling people, don't be so sensitive, we appreciate their deep insights. Oh, exactly.
Yeah. Stop subjecting sensitive people to unnecessary trauma as well. And sensory overload. Okay, so this now, do you see the residue that I lifted off the mask and now you see the blue paint there? That's what happens when the mask is made of non-absorbent material. Whereas the ones made of absorbent material, the paint ends up on the mask and not on the plate anymore. So I think that's got some really interesting things going on. So I'm going to do a multi-layer print this time. Cal, can you pass me a paper towel? There it is. That would be really handy. I'm just thinking about...
Lillian says, can we see that again? I'm not sure which one she was referring to.
The two prints side by side? Is that what you mean, Lillian? I can do that.
Those were the last things you held up, I think. So,
yeah.
Are your fingers clean enough?
I've wiped them, so then they should be dry at least.
Well, dry is what matters, right?
So essentially identical first two layers, and then this one has a third layer.
Yeah, great.
So, and I'll bring it up close so you can see. Right, and it's got a gradient from ultramarine to Payne's gray, but it's a bit subtle on the screen. So the Payne's gray is at the top, and the ultramarine is.
Oh, so you got a couple of different blues going on.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. Bruce says magic, and Lillian says that one with the darkest blue.
It really makes those shapes pop, doesn't it? Okay, I just have to think what I want to do with this layer. I might bring in one of my doilies here.
Ricky says she hates that she has to leave, but she'll definitely look at the replay. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ricky.
Sorry you have to leave, but glad you could be here for part of it.
Yeah, and that's one of the benefits of the fact that we do have the replays that you can watch later.
Exactly. Oh, what happened to my peach colored paint?
Uh-oh.
Well, I'll have to mix some. I know. I'm a painter. I can mix paint. Let's do that. All right. So I'll get some. A little pink, a little yellow. And a lot of white. And I will get some peach.
Lillian asks, how much time do you have before it dries on the plate?
Well, this is taking longer to dry because I added the open medium. The length of time to dry depends on a lot of variables. The thickness of the paint, the brand of paint can affect it. Ambient temperature, ambient humidity in your room, and is how much breeze is going on. Breeze will dry things very, very quickly. So you want to prevent breeze so that you have enough time to play with it. Now, have I got a palette knife? Not really a very suitable. Oh, good. Okay.
When you add the open medium, Kim, how long does it?
So then it slows it down, and the more open medium there is, the longer it takes to dry. Ultimately, it will also thin out the paint color, but it can withstand a fair bit. What have I got here? That's zinc white. I don't want zinc white.
And Ruth Oppenheim asks, would glycerin work instead?
Yes. Good question, Ruth. If I could hand out stars, I'd have handed out a few already today. Okay. Oh, don't put it on the plate, Kim. See, I have to watch myself because I'm thinking about what I just said to you, and it's so funny. Okay. There, so you can see what's going on in my palette. Add a bit of pink. I hope that looks better on your screens than mine. And my screen, all of this is completely blasted out.
It's pretty blasted out.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's a very faint color, so yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't even show that there's something on the palette, like form-wise. There. Oh, and then it changed the exposure again.
Yeah, we had a momentary glimpse.
Yeah, so
what color of light?
I think whether it's my camera lens or the YouTube itself is doing something to it. Suffice to say, it's a very pale color.
And Lillian asks, what color of white? So
titanium.
Titanium is what you're mixing with?
Yeah. Zinc is too transparent for my purposes. Zinc is
You want something opaque in this
I
case?
want it opaque, yeah. And Lillian, I just wanted to mention all those family medical emergencies is why I didn't get back to you your last email. Thank you for it, though. I got one of those dreaded late evening calls. You know, your phone rings at 11:30 at night or
I think it was more
midnight.
Like 1:30
One, oh yeah, maybe it was 1:30. So, you know, I honestly can't remember. And you know, nothing good is going to be at the other end of the phone. And yeah, that's how I found out my father had been rushed to hospital in an ambulance. At first, they thought he had pneumonia.
No, at first they thought it was COVID.
They thought he had pneumonia and he was going to be tested for COVID because it could have been COVID pneumonia.
Right, okay. Sorry.
But it turned out all those breathing difficulties he was having and feeling cold were because he was having a heart attack. So I'm just dragging more pink in, just tuning my color up. I'm sorry you can't see the color.
So Kirk says,
yes, Kirk.
Your camera is likely set on auto iris, which is why it adjusts like that.
Oh man, I love having you at these things. I love that you can explain that. So I wonder if I can change that in my system preferences then.
Yeah, it's just the built-in.
It's just
camera.
My built-in Mac camera. So I'm hoping to investigate live streaming software that will allow me to use external cameras. But can I see anything here about camera? Not easily and quickly, so I'm just going to leave it for now.
I can do a little research in mine.
Yeah, Cal has a much more recent laptop.
Well, and I'm also not mixing paint at the moment, so which
Yeah.
helps.
No, it came up though recently because I wanted to open up Adobe Premiere Pro to edit some video and, dip my toe into editing with proper editing software. I just find I need more of the colors, so I'm putting more of those in. And it was asking me for things related to my graphic processor, so I think my long in the tooth laptop may be at the end of its useful life for me.
Yeah. And Lillian, to answer your question, yes, it's a butcher's tray, which is a palette that we can buy at Curry's, and they are the world's best palettes for acrylic because they are really, really easy to clean.
You just soak them.
Yeah, and the paint just
let the paint
off.
dry. Doesn't matter how thick it is. Just let the paint dry. Soak it. I mean, if it's still wet, you can wipe off the part that's wet and then soak what remains.
But yeah, even like really tenacious acrylic paint, soak it for 10 minutes and you can just
or an hour.
It off
depends.
Or slide it off.
Yeah, depends on the. But and all the acrylic painters don't have to be jealous of oil painters anymore because it's got this tall side. You can cover this in press and seal, Glad press and seal, and pull it so that it's really got a tight seal. You have to make sure the lip is clean. And I've had paint last for at least a week. As long as you have a good seal, the paint you've already got in here will stay wet. You don't have to buy fancy stay wet palettes. You don't have to. This is as low tech as it comes. It's enameled steel. And it comes in a large size too. I just find the small ones handy. So that's not quite as peachy as I was looking for, but since I can't find my preferred paint, I'm gonna just go with this for now. Dab some on. I like the fact that it's a permanent palette. It's not a disposable palette, but it's super easy to clean. I have bought various peel-off palettes. This is the first one that's genuinely peel-off, but you peel it off after you've soaked it. I've bought stay wet palettes. Yeah.
So Annie has a question. She says, for the brayer, soaking in soap and water doesn't dissolve the acrylic paint. Had to scrub it off. Is that normal, or do I need Murphy's soap?
Okay, well, first of all, you don't have to have every last scrap of paint off of it. As long as it's no longer coming off easily and the surface is relatively smooth, you're fine. And what can happen is you actually can benefit from getting a gradual buildup of residue. And then when you soak it in dish detergent and warm water, or better yet, Murphy's oil soap and warm water, you'll be able to peel off the skin.
Which is
way better.
Several layers of skin.
Several layers of skin, and then you'll have it'll look pristine, like it's a brand new roller.
Yeah.
So don't kill yourself trying to scour off every last bit of paint.
I've definitely nearly had a nervous breakdown trying to get it clean when it only had a layer or two of paint on it. and then later, oh, now it's coming off.
That's why mine don't look pristine. They will eventually when it reaches that point again, and I just peel off the skin.
Yeah, she says, cool, thanks.
Yeah. It's one of those things you learn by experience. And it's there's something sort of satisfying about it. It's not great when you're in a hurry, but don't be in a hurry and just enjoy it. You can peel it off while you're listening to a podcast or something and enjoy it. So I'm thinning out the paint application. So Annie and Ruth, I hope this is helpful to you. Seeing me jelly printing. I had both of you in mind when I was thinking I would jelly print today. So when I roll off the excess on scrap paper, that means that when I come back to the plate and roll, it removes until it gets a certain coating of paint on it again. And now you notice I changed directions to even it out. And so a thin layer, but I could just print that, but what I'm going to do instead is lay down this doily. Oh boy, wheels within wheels here. And I'm going to take advantage of this. Okay, so it's getting the negatives from the doily.
And Ruth, I answered your question in the chat. And Annie says, yes, I'll have to watch the video. Thank you.
Well, this will supplement the introduction. All right, now peel this off. Yes, so it's left an impression of the doily. Can you see that?
Ooh, wow,
right.
That's amazing.
So that's what I wanted. So now I just have to think about what I'm going to do next. I think maybe a hot color. I think maybe I will go back to the alizarin. Just going to give this a moment to dry. I did not add any retarder or open acrylic medium. So this will dry more quickly. And I always have my little fan handy if I need to persuade things to dry more quickly. I would be lost without that little fan. Because the plate's so big, the paper wasn't big enough to remove all the paint height-wise, so I just dabbed away to break it up so it wasn't a solid line. Okay, so now I'm going to...
Lillian, thank you, Lillian. Lillian says it's 3:32.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'll get this print done. How about that?
Yeah. So
because if you need to go, of course, go, and you can check back on the replay and just fast forward to the last few minutes.
But yes, time's fun when you're having flies or or something like that. It always goes by so fast when we do our events.
I just honestly haven't been thinking about time at all. I'm so engrossed in, okay, what am I doing? What am I doing next? What's my next layer? And, I find that jelly printing is great for doing that. Getting you in a flow state, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. If you're feeling a little stale in the studio or a little stuck or whatever. Something fun and generative is a great idea. Thank you. Yeah.
A little more fraying. Lillian says, want to see the finished result. You and me both, Lillian.
Yeah. It'd be helpful if I had some paper handy, wouldn't it? Yeah. And I don't want this paint to dry. This layer, the other layers, needs to stay wet.
Everything with alacrity.
That's right. Okay.
All right, Rebecca, duly noted.
What's that?
She wants to see my drawing too.
Yes, so we'll make sure to include that into the end. He's been layering up. You've been working on that one, right? Yeah. He's been really layering up, so. Okay.
So
why don't I peel it from this corner and then they'll get the reveal.
Yeah.
Oh, it's picking up nicely so far.
I'll ask her in a second, Ruth. Woohoo! Wow.
See how vividly it prints the lace doily? So you can see the little threads and everything. And then, of course, that blue was what the residue from the previous print. So it's in front of the doily. So it's very rich looking. So I'm quite pleased with that. Now, as a finished product, I actually think it needs another layer or two, but I'm like very pleased with the lace.
As a ground, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Ruth says, love the blue too, gorgeous. Lillian says, beautiful. Now, Ruth asked you a question, which I think you'll need to explain a little bit. Where can I find your YouTube video on jelly printing? I searched, but it didn't come up. Great, since this is new to me.
Yes, so I have an introduction to jelly printing video for sale. And if you're taking a course with me, it's $15. And if you're not taking a course with me, it's $25. So you can add it on to something if you want, Ruth, or you can get in touch. And what I do in the introduction, I explain about the tools, the materials, cleanup options, and so on. But then I introduce you to the a few key processes to get you going, which open up the doors to all kinds of stuff and form the basis for a lot of what I do. So yeah, so it's a good introduction. So people who are right now in my mixed media artist book with jelly prints and transfers, I know that's a mouthful, but I needed to give it a long name to accurately reflect what it was, which just started on Friday. Some were beginners and purchased the introduction to jelly printing video because it's methodical and gives you step-by-step explanations of everything that I'm doing. So if that interests you, just let me know.
She says, great, thanks.
Oh, good. Yeah. So yeah. All right. So you've seen my print. Now let's see Kal's drawing. So there's the whole drawing at its present stage. Now, what I need to do is go in close because the richness of the layering you need to see up close, right? You can see some under layers there. So, oh, look at those. They're very nice. Wow. I like that little cast shadow too at the bottom. Anyway, so that's what Cal's been up to during this. It's too bad we can't have a show and tell of everybody's.
Yeah. So those of you in my garden art class will recognize that it's just continuing on from class. So
that's right.
It's going to take me a while.
Yeah, he's coming at it in a few sessions. So
yeah, and he says homework for you too. LOL. Yeah.
Oh, every course we teach, we have homework. Trust us. Yeah,
thanks,
no
Ruth.
question. Yeah, isn't it lovely, Ruth? He's quite a. It's fun being with such a talented guy. So.
Oh, one before you wrap up.
Yeah.
Jane Lester Gordon says, reminds me, Kim, I still haven't heard from you about how to access the Instagram course.
Okay, I'm alarmed because I emailed you a link to the Instagram course replay and the pre-recorded class. So I will try again. If you could check your junk or spam folders in your email account in case it went to your junk or spam folder. Even if Cal's don't, it's possible that mine has. So it's just worth checking there. And after I'll wash my hands after this and I will resend everything. Yeah, just so that I have resent it. But please do check your junk and spam folders either way. And if that's still a problem, then we'll have to come up with some kind of workaround. Okay, so just be in touch
again and let you know.
Okay, great. That's great.
And thanks, Lillian. Lillian said wonderful strokes on my work. Yeah, which is lots of crosshatching.
Lots and lots, definitely. So thank you, everybody, for coming. It's been so nice to be back here with you in my version of the live weekly events. And I hope you will join both of us for every week on Saturdays at 2 p.m. Obviously, some weeks on my channel and some weeks on Cal's channel. We're just alternating back and forth, and you can just check on our channels or our social media to find out which it is that week.
Yeah, and you can always catch us on the replays, if not on our YouTube channel.
That's right.
So,
and this one will get added to my virtual studio party playlist, which has all of the replay videos from going right back to the very first virtual studio party when I had no idea. It was a whole brand new thing for me. I had no idea what I was doing.
Rebecca says, thank you. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Rebecca.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have a great
weekend, everyone.
Enjoy it. First one of October.
Yeah, it's been lovely to be back.
Yeah.
Yay.
Take care.
Bye, all.